Okay, see these questions here. Now, when you're solving any of the math problem, you will come across this a lot that you have to find out, say, value of sine of 5 pi by 6. And I've seen the most people, they use this table to find out the values of questions like these. And to use this table, this is the first table that is taught to you in school, the first elementary table. But then it's actually much more time consuming and you have to remember like too many formulae. So I would advise that don't use this table at all. Now instead I will give you one really nice method. And this method, once you understand this method, you can find out like sine, cos of any angle very quickly, faster than even calculator. And this method is actually two parts. Okay, so here is step one. Now step one is the angle. The first thing that I wanted to remember to understand, now nice technique, okay, look at this. First thing that I wanted to remember is you should never keep your angles in degrees. So we don't want degrees, it has to be converted into radians, and the conversion is very simple, that if it is 180 degrees, that is equivalent to pi radians, right? This is the basic conversion from degrees to radians, and as I said, I want to convert all angles now onwards. I don't want them in degrees, I want them in radians. So for example, supposing if I want 30 degrees, what should I do? I'll divide this on both sides obviously by 6. So if I say divide this by 6, I am going to get this as 30 degrees, no? And that will be on the right side, this will be pi by 6 radians. Now, okay, look at this. There is this circle drawn, and there are 4 quadrants like first, second, third, and fourth. You know that. And now the angles are written as 0, 30, 60, and 90. They all are in degrees, and we don't want them. So let me get this 30 degrees, which is equal to pi by 6 radians. Okay, so now this angle is pi by 6 radians. Now, usually we have a practice of writing angle over here, right? So instead of writing pi by 6 here, I'm going to write it here just to keep it, easy, because it's just better that way, okay? Alright, so this angle is pi by 6, right? So now let me tell you something, okay? Listen to this really well. If this is pi by 6, let me tell you all these angles can be predicted. There is one very nice technique to do that. Let me tell you that they all are pi by 6. All of them are pi by 6. Except, now, here is a technique. That this is 1 pi by 6, right? Now what you have to do is, you have to count number after 1, which is not divisible by 6. So after 1 you have 2. But that is divisible by 6. So don't. The next number is 3, which is also divisible. Next number is 4. Next number is 5, and 5 is the next number to 1, which is not divisible by 6. So this will be 5 pi by 6. Yes. So now this angle is 5 by 6. Now, so what I mean is, say this angle, okay? This angle here is 5 pi by 6. Now after 5, just keep doing the same procedure. After 5, the next number is 6, which will be divided by 6. So next is 7, right? Now after 7, count 8, 9, 10 will also get divided by 6, simplified by 6. So the next number has to be 11 pi by 6. This is 11 pi by 6. You see, that way you can find out all these angles. So I figured out all the angles. So I said step 1 is you have to figure out the angle. So now what we're going to do is we're going to practice some more. So like that, if I want say 60 degrees, how do I find 60 degrees? What I need to do here is I need to divide this by 3. Now if I divide this by 3, it is 180 by 3 is going to give me 60 degrees, and on both sides obviously. So it is pi by 3 radians. So like I did before for 30 degrees, I will convert this 60 degrees also into radians. We never want angles in degrees, which will be pi by 3 radians, correct? And I hope you can now already guess that if this is pi by 3, they all will be pi by 3. Trust me, that method will work always. So all these 4 angles will be pi by 3, and the same technique. Pi by 3 is 1 pi by 3 essentially, right? So after 1, the next number is 2. And 2 is not simplified by 3, so this has to be 2 pi by 3. And after 2, the next number will be 3, won't work. 4, right? 4, 5 will work, of course. So that way you can easily figure out these angles. And trust me, radians are more convenient than degree, okay? Alright, fair enough. So first part is done, that we figured out the angle. Now let's go to the second part. Okay. Now I'm talking about step 2. Pay attention. I forgot to tell you something here, that this here is unit circle. Okay. Now hear me well. Now if this is a unit circle, understand that this entire length has to be one radius. So let me mark here, okay? From here till here, this entire length is 1. Okay, let me draw like this instead. Now since this is unit circle, its radius is 1. Now its radius is 1 simply means that from here to here, that this length is 1. Okay. Now if this full length is 1, so much it has to be half, is the exact half of 1, right? Okay, you can see that, right? So this is half. And little short of 1, say till here. Now, let me write like this. From here to here, it is root 3 by 2. Now you have to believe me, okay? Root 3 by 2 value is 0.866. So the full length is 1. Little shorter than that is root 3 by 2. And exact half is 1 by 2. So you have 3 lengths. 1, the full length. Exact half. And little shorter than 1 is root 3 by 2. Are the 3 lengths you have to remember. And in step 2, you need to understand that sine is vertical, and if it is cos, then horizontal. Remember, sine you measure vertical, and if it is cos you measure horizontal. Now let's see how we can solve. So basically these are the 2 steps. Step 1 is you figure out the angle, and step 2 is only this, sine is vertical and cos is horizontal. 3 lengths, 1, little short of 1 is root 3 by 2, and exact half is obviously half. So now let's go to the question that we're trying to solve. Okay, so what are we trying to do? We are trying to find out the value of sine of 5 pi by 6, right? So first thing is, where is 5 pi by 6? Okay, this is the blue, the series of 5 by 6 is color coded. Okay, this is the series of pi by 6. Now 5 pi by 6 is over here. Now if you want to find out sine of 5 pi by 6, as I said, sine you measure vertical. So just measure vertically for this 5 pi by 6, and vertical measure is going to be so much. Now I hope you can imagine that if this is the measure, you can just map it over here and see it is exact half of the unit circle. You see that? This thing is 1 because it's unit circle, right? So this has to be exact half, and that's the answer. I told you it's the nicest technique to find out. It's actually faster than even using calculator. Let's do one more, okay? Okay, 2 steps. First you figure out the angle, then sine and cos, okay? So now I want sine of pi by 3, right? So pi by 3 is the right angle, right? This is a pi by 3 angle. I want sine of pi by 3. Sine is vertical. So you keep it here. And if you see, this is little shorter than 1, right? And if it is little shorter than 1, as I told you, it is root 3 by 2. So it's vertical and it's little shorter than 1. So this answer is root 3 by 2. Yes, now let's work the next one. Let's do 2 more, okay? Cos of 11 pi by 6. Where is 11 pi by 6? Figure out angle pi by 6, 5 pi by 6, 7 pi by 6, and 11 pi by 6. 11 pi by 6 angle is over here. Now cos of 11 pi by 6. So it's cos. Okay, so sine is vertical and cos is horizontal. So now I have to measure horizontal for 11 pi by 6. So for 11 pi by 6, the horizontal measurement is so much, and that is little short of 1. Yes, so it has to be root 3 by 2. So now this value here is going to be root 3 by 2 again. Let's try one last one here. Sine of 7 pi by 6 kaise? How will you get the value of sine 7 pi by 6? Okay, 7 pi by 6 is here. So first you figure out the angle, which is over here. and you want sine for 7 pi by 6, so you have to measure vertical, and vertical measure is so much. I hope you can clearly see that's half. Okay, for 7 pi by 6 it is this much, and I hope you see it's exact half of the radius of the circle, and radius of the circle is 1, so it is half. The answer is half. Yes, and I hope you already noticed the point. And the very important point to be noticed is you're finding sine of 7 pi by 6, which is half. It's vertically downwards, right? So it's minus half. Since this is vertically downwards, it is minus half. Okay. For this, you just need to know all silver teacups. Do you remember that? It's all silver teacups. Okay. What does that mean? In the first quadrant, all angles are positive. In the second quadrant, sine is positive. In the third quadrant, tan is positive. And in the fourth quadrant, cos is positive. Right? So you have to follow that. So this is 7 pi by 6 falls into third quadrant. And in third quadrant, tan is positive. So sine and cos has to be negative, right? So that way, the value of sine has to be negative. So it will work well with all of that. So now let me just quickly recap, okay, of how it's going to be. That whenever you have to find out sine or cos of any angle, it's two-step process. First, you have to figure out where is the angle. And then if you want to find sine, do this. If you want to find cos, then do that. It's the easiest technique. Trust me, it will take a little bit time in the beginning to learn it. But once you know this technique, it is faster than a calculator. So now this in this entire discussion, there is one angle that I did not cover. I covered all these angles, right? I covered 30, I've covered 60, I covered 90. Okay. So I did not cover 45 degrees. Now 45 degrees has to be between 30 and 60. So, okay, let me mark it with this cross here. This is 45 degrees, and this is pi by 4 radians. So now if this is pi by 4 radians, this is also pi by 4, this is pi by 4, and the technique is absolutely same. So if you have pi by 4, the next number is going to be 2 won't work because 2 will get simplified. 3 pi by 4. You say do the same thing. So you find out the next number which is not divisible by 4. So it's after 3 it is 5 pi by 4. And after 5 it is 7 pi by 4. So this angle is pi by 4, this is 3 pi by 4, 5 pi by 4 and 7 pi by 4. That way you can find out the angle of pi by 4 also. Now supposing if they ask you, say, sine of 11 pi by 4. What is the value of sine of 11 pi by 4? Now how do we write that? For pi by 4, the answer is always going to be 1 by root 2. Just remember that. It is sine of anything pi by 4. Even 1 pi by 4 will also have answer as 1 by root 2 for sure. Either plus or minus. And trust me, sine or cos. So remember the point that whether it is sine or cos of any angle pi by 4, any number pi by 4, the answer will always be plus or minus 1 by root 2. The answer will always be 1 by root 2. And plus or minus, of course, you have to figure out the sign, whether it is positive or negative. Depending on quadrant, you can decide that. So supposing if I want to find out, say, sine of 11 pi by 6. All I have to just see that where is 11 pi by 6. So sine of pi by 4, 11 pi by 4. So all I have to do is figure out where is 11 pi by 4. See pi by 4, 3, 4, 5 pi by 4, 7 pi by 4, 8, 9 pi by 4 is this angle. 10, 11 pi by 4 is over here, right? This is 11 pi by 4. So 11 pi by 4 is falling into second quadrant where sine is positive. So if it is sine, then it is plus. So sine of 11 pi by 4 is going to be positive 1 by root 2. So remember, whenever it is sine or cos, either for both of them, the answer will always be 1 by root 2. Just that it will be either positive or negative. And this can be any number here. Any number. Okay. So for pi by 4 it's even easier.